name is David Sanchez from WeeklyTeamSheet.com. With me is former Manchester United and England international goalkeeper Gary Bailey. Gary, thank you for taking time out of your hectic schedule and sit down and chat with me.
Well, that's a pleasure. Looking forward to it.
I want to start off with your former team, Manchester United. They're going through a little bit of a crisis, some might say. Kicked out of the FA Cup by Arsenal on Monday.
Yeah.
They are in fourth, but the performances haven't been really convincing.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts?
Tough times. I'm not happy with it, obviously. It's been a tough 2 years after 20-odd years of incredible success with Sir Alex Ferguson. David Moyes, as we call him now in the Spanish section, David Moyes, had a really rough year. This, so far, has been slightly better, but it could still go pear-shaped. Some tough matches ahead, Spurs, Liverpool, City. If it's a good run, United could end up even second. If it's a bad run, they could end up 6th or 7th. So if we're out of Europe for a second year running, that would be a huge knock for the club. And yeah, I think most United fans are upset, frustrated, annoyed at the moment.
I mean, the main reason why United's even in fourth is that David De Gea keeps on bailing them out every other game. United have always had a long list of good goalkeepers, including yourself, Peter Schmeichel, Fabian Barthez, Edwin van der Sar, now the 24-year-old Spaniard, who's still 24, he has his whole career ahead of him.
Yeah.
Do you think he has the potential to become one of the world's greatest goalkeepers?
I think he's very close. He's not quite as big and strong as Courtois or Peter Cech or Buffon, those sort of goalkeepers. That's your classic great goalkeeper. Schmeichel, 6'5", 6'4". He's barely around the 6 foot level and he's quite thin, but I think he's bulking up a little bit. And when he comes for the high ball, he tends to punch it now, not try and hold on to it and drop it. But his reflexes are just world class. There's no one better in the world at the moment. And for me, he's Spain's #1 by a million miles. And he should really, in theory, remain Spain's #1 from now onwards. But yeah, if your keeper is what is keeping you in fourth place, from a Man United perspective, that's not good enough. Your keeper obviously has to play a role, but when you've got Di Maria and you've got Rooney, who for some unknown reason to me was playing very deep as opposed to as a striker. Falcao hasn't performed. The back four have struggled all season. I mean, it really has been a messy year, a very frustrating year. And I guess the feeling is that Van Gaal is good enough to turn the team around. And as of this moment, that hasn't really happened. Had this season, had there been a different manager, let's just say that United for some reason have gone with an unknown manager, we'd all be saying, no, he's not good enough. Clearly, why is he playing Rooney in defence? Why is he playing 5 and then 4 across the middle? And yet Van Gaal does it, everyone goes, okay, well, maybe there's a deeper plan here still to surface. It doesn't seem to be that way, so Van Gaal is running out of goodwill at the moment, and only a fantastic finish to the season will get him off the hook.
I want to move on to the 2022 World Cup. There's been a lot of controversy regarding the November-December World Cup. Sepp Blatter came out and said the final will not be played past December 18th. As a player who played in all domestic competitions, the FA Cup, the English League when you were playing, does this affect your schedule that much?
Yeah, it does, hugely. It does more so in England because you run all the way through in England. You don't have a break. The rest of the continent has a break, so for them, their break's going to shift. It's going to change slightly. They might break early. So it's going to impact them, but it impacts the Premier League even more. I don't think it's a bad thing in as much as the Premier League needs a break. I mean, the players are exhausted when they finish, and then they go on to a World Cup, and that's probably one of the reasons why England have struggled in the past. I think one has to accept that FIFA rules football. If they want to play a Winter World Cup, they will. It would take a hell of a lot for the rest of the world to say, no, it ain't going to happen. And they will take it to whichever country they want, Qatar, Russia, and they don't have to explain their reasons in depth. It just is the way it is, and I'm not sure that's a good thing. Most of the world isn't happy with that, but it is the way it is. And football will deal with it. And yeah, maybe from it comes something interesting. Maybe the English enjoy the break and decide, hey, they're going to play summer, which isn't a bad thing because the winter's terrible there. They might play summer with a nice break, and they might move their season around, and they're being forced to experience something different, and from that, something good might come.
So you believe they will play the World Cup in winter because they can't play in the summer because temperatures are deathly, and they can't take it away from them because there may be some corruption, they give them too much money. So you believe it will be a winter World Cup?
If that's what FIFA wanted, will be. If FIFA decide they want to change it and put it in April, they'll put it in April. At the end of the day, the world of football doesn't have a say when it comes to FIFA. And if right now they wanted December it will be.
You've often spoke about life after football, how a player should always learn something as they're playing so they don't blow away all their money. Some great players have been declared bankrupt, like John Arnorisa, Brad Friedel, David James, and one of England's greatest ever players, Paul Gascoigne.
Yeah.
What would you tell the likes of Eden Hazard, Adnan Januzaj, some of the great young players in the world right now? What would your advice be to them?
That they should seek advice. We're not saying that every footballer has to get a degree or has to get an education. Sometimes they come from very poor backgrounds. I actually went from university to playing soccer, so I did the reverse. But most of my teammates had left school at 13, 14. You're not going to make them into businessmen. You're not going to, most of them, and with all due respect to them, they're clever people, they're streetwise, they're just never going to be academic. But you can make a good business by employing people who are academic. So, I think at that stage you want a good advisor. Robbie Fowler's probably got the best business for any sports person, and that is renting properties. Because you're earning a lot of money, buy properties, you've got a rental company that manages the income, they manage the issues. You get an income from it once you sort of get it up properly and you put some money in over the years. Certainly when you retire, there's net income coming to you, and it's income that will continue to grow. You're a business person, there's no risk involved. Property is not really a risk business, especially if you set it up with a long-term rental objective in view. And you can go to work. You can get up in the morning as a 35-year-old who's retired and go into an office and sit and meet your accountant and look at the numbers and go and visit the properties, and you can feel gainfully employed, you can feel relevant to society, and you can do all those good things. A lot of sports people tend to want to get into businesses that are high risk, restaurants and that sort of thing, nightclubs and pubs and stuff that even if you're a very clever entrepreneur, it's extremely difficult to make money from. And they bring their name to the party and normally all their money, and that's when they blow it. So the best advice for any sports person is invest your money in a good, solid business that is risk-free and gives you a sense of relevance in the world. And property, to me, is the most obvious one.
Before I go, Chelsea were just kicked out of the Champions League. A very un-Mourinho-like performance, playing against 10 men, losing the league twice. Champions League competition is blown open now. I want to hear your predictions.
Yeah, Barcelona is the one I've chosen. I've chosen Barca for the treble already. I think they are...
It's bold.
Yeah, but I just think they're far too good for everybody.
And this was a club that was in a crisis in January. Now they're the best team in the world.
No, well, the word crisis is used far too easy. Real are in a crisis now.
Oh.
Yeah, they're current European champions, current world champions, 1 point behind Barcelona. They're in the quarterfinals of the European Champions League, and they're in crisis. I'd hate to think what they call Manchester United. If Real Madrid's in crisis, we're off the charts at Manchester United. But it's just silly press stuff, and unfortunately, fans buy into it too easily. And even the president, Florentino Perez, comes out and says, "No, we're keeping the manager Ancelotti." He should be coming out and saying, "Why are you even talking about this? I'm not going to. Why should I have to answer about my manager who's currently European and world champion?" I think we, especially in Spain, they allow this conversation to happen far too quickly. It's not a crisis for Real Madrid. They can easily go on to win La Liga and European Champions League. Well, not easily, but they can do that. But for me, Barcelona, if the only team that can beat them over 2 legs is Bayern Munich.
That's my choice.
Yeah, that's your choice. That's not a bad choice. I don't think even Bayern Munich can deal with the front three of Barcelona. I think the Suarez has come on strong.
Finally.
If you had to pick the top 3 strikers in the world, it would be Messi, Ronaldo and Suarez. When you've got 2 of the top 3 playing in a team, and you add Neymar, probably the 4th best.
You think about Harry Kane?
Yeah, Hurricane or Harry Kane. Yeah, he's fantastic, but he's not in the top 3 or 4 yet.
He still has a long career.
He's got a long way to go, but he certainly is coming into the frame as an incredible striker. But Barcelona just have too much for the others. It would take a really bad performance for Barca to lose. The way Bayern Munich can win it, they won't win it over 2 legs, I don't think. But if they played
in the final,
so one-off, Bayern Munich could upset Barcelona. Other than that, I'm with Barca all the way.
Thank you for singing that with me.
It's been a pleasure.